I have a handful of, like, before Disaster formed is when I played against most of these people, because when they were formed, I was already doing the casting thing, kind of stepped down from the competitive side of things. But honestly speaking, all of these players came from teams. Not many of them, except for, you know, the exception of, like, people like Eplicas and maybe Chinchillas that we didn't see in the top 8 and stuff like that, and some others that, of course, I'm not mentioning, are newer to the team. A lot of these players have been around for a long time. So, yeah, in tournaments, I played against them a few times, things like that. Nothing too extensive. Because when I do my testing, I go back to my cave, you know, and I test by myself. That's kind of what I do. But yes, I have definitely played against them. They've always been good competitors. They've always been good sports. I have nothing bad to say about them.
Well, Balaen, I have something to say about Balaen right now. That hand is dumpster, okay? Not a good
Both
hand.
of their hands aren't very good, but at least Underwear has a semblance of a curve here.
He can at least play cards. Okay?
Yes, he can play cards. And I think this is very fitting. I really think this is how not only this match is going to go, but the finals. Because I believe from the losers bracket, I believe we're going to see one of the Dirt Rune decks actually go to the finals as well, because it has proven to be better than the Neutral Forest list. And this is the match. This is the match to actually key out for. So can like who has the better matchup here? Who's tested better? Who knows how to play their cards better? I mean, it could just come down to the fact that Balaen might not actually have a good draw here, but we'll see if he can come back.
Well, his draw's getting a little better. Like, it's a little better. The thing is, he will be able to play in those later curves and later turns. Yeah, he's got the Levy. He's got the Wizard as Dance of Death. He's got a Sigil in the event that he needs it. Of course, he's going to need it for the Levy when he plays that. So he's got things that he can do in those later turns. Question is, how much damage is he going to take on the way there?
Exactly. And now this is kind of an odd turn, because you want to dance here, but if you dance here, you can't Master Mage with full effect next turn. If you go Witch's Cauldron into... You just dance, yeah. It's definitely the safest option.
That damage there. Yeah,
because if you Witch's Cauldron into Telescope, you are going to cycle through 2 cards, but you still might not find an option to deal with this board, so it's a very unsafe move.
I would snap dance, okay? I'd be breakdancing right now, okay?
Oh, he's going for it.
At all. He's not doing that at all. He said, you know what? I'm taking a risk, and I guess
he got there. He got there. Barely.
He got rewarded. That could have been disastrous.
Disastrous?
I tried not to say it.
That's right. That's good. I like puns. Good ones are good. I dig it. So, okay, here's something that we can talk about. So, let's just say that the meta is defined now. PDK, Burn Rune, Midsword. That's the meta that you have to watch out for. Now, I would say, if you're a competitor, you want to play next week, don't go home and copy these decks, you know what I mean? Just card for card, and then just expect to win next week. What you guys have to be thinking about, now you can add to this, is... what are they going to do as the next evolution? So if they assume that a lot of people are going to start bringing these mid-range decks, they're probably going to develop into a later game control style of a lineup so that they can counter what this week's meta is. Now, there is a second level on top of that where they could say, okay, that's where people are going to think we move, and then we're going to just shuffle right back on down to aggro because people aren't going to be playing the mid-range, and they're going to go 2 levels above. It's a huge convoluted thing the way metas line up, but Aya, what do you think about that? What do you think people should be thinking about for next week?
Well, on the point of the meta thing, this is actually what makes games what they are, okay? Metas. The decision-making, what level of decision-making you're willing to make in order to achieve your goal. That's what makes these games as, you know, complex as that. Now, I know some people may go, well, Shadowverse is a simple game. Okay, in general, it is. But when you start seeing how people are evolving the meta, and Disastra being a perfect example of that, you start seeing maybe things aren't so simple. So, on to the thing of what people should take away from that. I think what people should try to do is strike a little bit of a balance, all right? They can bring lineups that can kind of hedge against the different types of decks they know they're going to be playing against. So if they feel that people are going to stay in this mid-rangey kind of thing that's going on right now, they can choose to go, you know, instead of playing in, you know, this mid-range thing, I'm going to bring a control deck. Okay.
Right.
So it will make things a little harder to ban out. Whereas you see, like right now, people all ban PDK. They did not want to fight it. So let's make our bans a little bit more difficult. Let's say someone doesn't bring PDK. They bring a deck and they know if they fight against PDK, they're just going to ban it. So they bring decks that are going to be good in those other matchups that may be fighting. That's where the meta, the whole shifting of meta takes place. And that's why I love card game.
Yep, and it's honestly, to be thinking about it, do what Disaster did. Plan to ban a class, and then build your other 2 decks to fight what you think will be left over. And if you think that mid-range is the way it's going to go, like we're seeing right now, you build a control deck in there, maybe, like an Aegis Haven, or maybe a Control Blood, or something that you've tested that fares well against these mid-range decks. And then you make the bans really hard. If you ban my PDK, you have to go up against my control deck. That'll probably bust up both your mid-range decks. So maybe you have to let PDK through and just hope that it doesn't beat you. So, just make it tougher and tougher each week. Don't just copy what you see.
Oh, this feels like he doesn't have lethal right now. And not only that, he can't even clear board. So nothing he does cleared his board.
It does not. Now, I would say
sitting on board.
I would say, honestly, his go for the throat type of moment here is just a Halo Golem face and pray.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a better option here.
I would agree. I'd agree to that.
Because if you play the Master Mage Levy here, you're not going to have the Sigil next turn for the Halo Golem. So that's a no-go in my mind. I feel like you just put it down, you pray, and then that's that. Because if you do any other move here, you're scooping it up. As a matter of fact, there's not even another play. You can't kill any of the followers here. And yeah, that's exactly what he's doing.
Now,
so we see 5 plus 8. We're at 13. We're 1 damage shot.
He's 1 off. Yeah, he's 1 off. So what he could do to get that 1 damage is he could play the Sigil, then play, or we could do the not.
Wow.
Wow.
That I don't like. Not going for the win here is
questionable at
rough.
best.
He could have sorceried face, played the Witch's Cauldron, played the Wizardess, and hoped to get 1 other spell on top of his Piercing Rune to win the game this turn.
Right.
In this case, he's just saying, you know what, if you have 1 more damage, I'm dead. And he's got 2 followers in play, so it's very likely that Dance of Death, Piercing Rune, any of these cards that deal damage are relevant.
Yeah, it would have been very good in that instance, but unfortunately, that's not the line he chose. And he draws another Master Mage Levy just to add injury to insult. So, Underwear taking the first game pretty decisively.
He knew his game plan. I think Balaen stumbled a little bit there. I think he didn't think that turned out as well as he should have, and just go for the win.
Well,
because honestly, worst case scenario, if that Crimson Sorcery went face and then the Wizardess came out, you can still clear board with your followers. So I think going for it is even a safer option because you already have a way to clear the board. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Balaen was thinking there.
Well, unfortunately, though, as we saw, like Balaen just kind of suffered from not having a good start. His hand was really bad. And I mean, it got a little better as the game went on, but by that time, Underwear had already solidified the board and he had all the options that he needed. It was just not much that Balaen could have done.
As far apart as those opening draws were, though, Balaen still had a chance to win that game. It was a small one, but he had a chance.
He kind of, in a way, well, not even in a way, he really did end up throwing it by not attempting to go for the win.
Yep. But moving on to this game, one thing that I actually want to make mention of, I don't know really how big of a deal this is, but all of the Disaster players never follow up with the same deck they just lost with. Maybe it's like a mental thing that they've been talking about with each other. Maybe it's a very specific mindset they have about playing the same deck twice in a row, especially if you lost with it, maybe just to mitigate tilt. But it's interesting to notice that all of the Disaster players have been doing this. If they lose with their deck, they go to their mid-sword deck, and then they play their other deck again if they win.
Well, I would say this, that tilt is a real thing, and anyone who claims they're not affected by it is lying through their teeth.
You're a robot, and or you played 10,000 plus hours of whatever it is you're doing, and you just really don't care anymore.
Right. tilt is a real thing, and when you take a loss, especially in a tournament, with the deck that you built and all that, it can be a little tilting. Like, I just drew a bad hand. I don't really want to play that, because that's what happened with Balaen. So him switching it up, I think, is actually good. I don't think it's bad that he did that. And right now we see that this hedgehog is putting in WOR.
Lots of work. Yeah. I'm glad Hedgehog finally has its time to shine. Like I always thought that was one of the better sword cards, and it hasn't really been getting a lot of love. But in mid sword, it feels so solid. It's just 3 toughness is a lot. Getting extra power just over the course of the natural thing that sword does, which is trade the board, is really good.
Oh my goodness, this is so disgusting.
Yeah, this is great.
This is wow. That just felt like it hurt my soul.
If you ever wanted to turn off roundtable assembly, this is how you do it.
And then he gets to do it.
Repeat.
He's like, yo, man, mine's better, bro.
That's
I
right.
get to go second.
Mine's better. So forget what I said.
Better.
This doesn't shut off roundtable assembly. This makes it even better.
So, wow. So we're just seeing the mirror plays, and I have a very big appreciation for that.
Now, there's something I want to point out. Now, is this inherent with roundtable assembly? Because we know that it can pull 2 Juliets, right? We've only seen this pull Mars and White Paladin. We've never seen it pull double White Paladin. We've never seen it pull double Mars. So do you think it's inherently built into the card that it tries not to, if it can?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there has been times where, like, I pulled double Cinderella, but that was only, like, once, I think. But, yeah, I think it does. I think
it's got to be random. But I want you guys to tweet at me, or tweet it anywhere, Shadowverse Game. Just let us know what your experiences have been with roundtable assembly. If it most of the time pulls 2 separate cards, if it most of the time pulls 2 the same cards for you. Because honestly speaking, in this competitive environment, we haven't seen it double up really. Now that could just be random.
Yeah, it could be random, but oh my goodness, Mars is so cool, man. Like,
Mars is great. We get to see the full effect on both sides of the table this game of just what Mars is doing to this board.
Yeah, Mars just obliterated that board. Okay.
Oh
my goodness. Oh, just when you're like, underwear's in a lot of trouble. Never mind. Just kidding.
Never mind.
I was just playing, man. Nah. He's okay. Just draws White Paladins when he needs them.
I want to say this is a huge reason we're seeing it now more than we have in the past few games. But I bet you this is a big reason why this sword deck has been winning so much today is because if they're playing against aggro all day, look at what this board does. Look at what Mars plus White Paladin does. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, disgusting. And I want to actually kind of go back to something we were talking about earlier in Luminous Mage. We, again, as we said, that it was always a mainstay. It was something that we always saw and this, that, and that. We're not seeing that anymore. And the reason we're not seeing that anymore is right now, what we see on the board. Okay.
So many other good cards to be playing.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Underwear, stop it. Leave him alone. Leave him alone, man. He's your teammate. He's your teammate. Oh, it pulled out 2 White Paladins. So
here we did, but multiple Mars have already been played and died.
Right. Yeah. But yeah.
Like I guess the better way to ask the question is if there are 3 White Paladins and 3 Mars in your deck, how likely is it to pull one of each? Obviously, it has the best odds to. But yeah, I'm almost positive that it's got to be completely random. We just have been seeing this end of the spectrum of it, but.
White towel thrown in, get it over, wrap it up.
Underwear, just showing that his White Paladins are better.
And
yes.
That's very reminiscent of whenever you watch mirror matches, there's that element, in Dragoncraft mirrors, it was like, oh, you Bahamutted? I'm going to Bahamut your Bahamut, and now you're going to Bahamut, but I'm going to get the last one.